Hello. I'm going to say hello, Tank. I think that's how you would like to be referred to.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Hello, Tank. Thank you for running for office and for seeking the Riveters Collective endorsement. We're conducting this interview on the traditional territory of the Nooksack tribe and Lummi Nation. This interview is recorded and will be used in endorsement decisions and also maybe be shared publicly. Your screen name is how you want it to be, I hope, for that.
It is.
Yeah, great. We have 5 questions for you, approximately 3 to 4 minute answers, and hopefully that'll leave time at the end if there's anything that we need to follow up on or any questions that you have. And we're going to start by just introducing the committee members that are here tonight, starting with Lychee.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Lychee Leong. Lychee is my first name. I apologize for not being on camera, but I don't have one on this device. And I moved here from New York City. I will hand things over to Suzanne.
Hi, Tank. My name is Suzanne. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. I'd like to introduce Candace.
Hi, Tank. I'm Candace. Thank you for being here. I'm really excited to see what you have to say, and thank you for running.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth. Nice to see you, Tank. Thanks for being here.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so Candace is going to ask the questions tonight.
So we have question number 1. How will you update employee recruiting and/or training practices to improve treatment of community members and reduce bias in law enforcement interactions?
That is a mouthful, isn't it? Yeah. Well, first of all, I think in order to improve, you have to recognize that you need to improve. I think that's first. And one of the things that I started doing in 2015 is I was certified in fair and impartial policing. And that training is a 4 to 8 hour session for police officers, supervisors, and command staff. I've been recertified on that training ever since, every 2 years, actually, since 2015. And I've taught up and down the I-5 corridor to include my officers in fair and impartial policing. It really means a lot to me, not just the officers, but you also have to train all of your staff. So, people walk through the door, people call, you have admin personnel that answers the phone. So, it's just not on the street interaction. So I have a commitment to that, but it didn't just start in 2015. I've kind of lived my entire law enforcement life this way. And, to include the military, I was a first sergeant in the military, and part of that duty was to make sure that people were treated fairly and justly. So I have a true deep commitment to procedural justice.
Thank you.
You're
Question number 2. What steps will you take to lower the incarceration rate in Whatcom County?
Sure. So, I think there's 4 parts to that. I think you have accountability. Then you also have the treatment, and you have rehabilitation, and then you have reintegration. And the reintegration part is really key. So I believe that you should divert where possible, but in cases where you cannot divert, you have to make sure that you have systems and resources in place. So as you know, our current jail facility is, it doesn't provide anyone with the services that's needed within the community. Excuse me. I've been talking to some labor unions about how do we have a pipeline from incarceration into apprenticeship training. I will tell you, in 1993, when I went through the police academy in St. Louis, I went there under an apprenticeship. So I believe that we need to really take a look at job opportunities, educational opportunities, oftentimes a person might be incarcerated for 3 days, 30 days, 300 days, but we should be offering each individual those same resources, and it shouldn't depend on the amount of time that they are serving within that institution. But I think we also should partnership with WCC, BTC, and nonprofits to see how potentially there might be scholarships, housing needs, getting food is very difficult. So, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity that we have, but certainly I do believe we should divert where we can, when we can. And by the way, that's one of the reasons why I'm on the state committee for alternatives to incarceration with the Washington courts. So we're looking around the state at different alternatives in different counties and trying to bring different ideas together so we can reduce incarceration statewide, not just countywide.
Thank you. Question 3. The sheriff is actively involved in county budget planning. How would you reallocate funding in the county budget to align with our community priorities and goals?
Well, I think first there needs to be a clear, thorough, and complete audit of the budget. And not just for last year, but maybe take a 5-year look, a 10-year look. And not just from law enforcement, but get some people that aren't related to law enforcement to take a look at that budget and to ask questions, because we should be challenged on how we're using the money and the funds. So I think first is really taking a look at it to see, what we need to do. But also, I'll tell you that not just the budget, we need to look at the resources, the actual staffing, to take a look at how we are deploying those people resources, if you will. And by the way, there's a program through the International Association of Chiefs of Police that have come to your agency and do a free staffing study. And I plan to implement that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Question number 4. How would you ensure that all residents will feel comfortable seeking aid in an emergency when emergency responses are overseen by law enforcement?
Yeah, so, different communities, I know from experience different things from law enforcement, I'll say that. So we can't have this, cookie cutter approach to it. But I do think being able to get back to community policing, engaging with the community, and part of that engagement in your questionnaire talked about advisory boards. It talked about oversight. There's different names for it, but I think it's important to bring the citizens in. I'll tell you what I started doing in Blaine. Anytime we have a oral board for new applicants that's applying for the Blaine Police Department, anytime we have a promotional board, we have not only law enforcement on that board, but we also have civilians on that board. So we started that in 2019. I believe we're probably one of the few agencies, if not the only agency in Whatcom County that actually has civilian, non-law enforcement, I'll say non-law enforcement personnel on our oral boards. So I think it's important to get back to that community engagement, invite the community. I haven't seen any type of survey done, a community survey, and to the communities to ask them, how are we doing? What do you expect? What would you like to see? So I think it's a lot that we could do.
Thank you. 5th question. What else do you want us to know?
Well, I'll say this, that 30 years of law enforcement experience. It's not an easy job. And just because it's not an easy job doesn't mean that we shouldn't continue to build our community trust. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't get out there and say hi. I ask my officers often, how many people have you met today that you didn't know yesterday while working? So it's about getting out there, and I fully support officer engagement. I fully support community engagement. I fully support hearing from the community and ensuring that when a person calls 911, that they're not afraid, whether they're documented or undocumented. I want to make sure that they get the help that they need. So I'll tell you that 100%, I'm always committed to doing the right thing and to ensuring that every single employee under my command does the right thing. And not only that, we will be held accountable.
Okay, thank you so much. Do you
You're
have
welcome.
any questions for us tonight?
Well, not really a question, but well, I do have one question, but I will just say that I know it's been a long night for you. I looked at your schedule. And in fact, I said, I hope they at least get a bathroom break or a water break or, something like that. So, but I certainly appreciate your time, and I know you have a lot to evaluate. So my only question is there a time frame in terms of making a decision on endorsements?
Yeah, yes, there is. So this committee, you're our last interview, as you know, and our recommendations are due to the board on the 19th. And then I would expect the board will vote on them within a week after that. And then when we know, we will give you a call at the number that you provided. So I would expect by, June 25th-ish, we will know.
Absolutely. And the last thing I'll add is that, excuse me, I guess the last few months or so, when your criminal justice committee ask a question or send an email, I try to be as responsive as I can. So, I mean, this is a partnership. This isn't, some us against them type of deal. We're all a community, and we'll make it work.
We appreciate that. Thank you for being so responsive to them.
Sure.
Thank you so much, and good luck in your campaign.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for your time, Tank.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.